Nigeria is one nation under God. One nation, one nation, one nation, one nation, one nation. Nigeria is one nation under God. One nation, one nation. One nation under God.
All right. Thank you for still being here with us. We still have some scanty seats.
Maybe some of them return to their rooms. I hope they join us as soon as possible. I hope we all enjoyed our lunch. I like the smile I'm seeing. I'm glad we all enjoyed our lunch. Now, quickly, without a waste of your time, we'll go to our next session for today. And it will be on training on data collection using Kobo tool for reporting. Please, with a round of applause, help me welcome Mr. Ringpom Gwamzi as he comes forward. Media, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. As you heard, my name is Ringpom Joseph Ladab Gwamzi. I'm going to take us through one of the most important aspects of life. I'm speaking this way because people kept this at the back, and our nation is suffering. I thank God for the recent development in the country, that everybody is beginning to think about data. And I want to believe that after President Tinubu, the next person that will come after him, if he is not somebody that runs after data, he will be irrelevant. The next dispensation of leaders of this nation are going to anchor this country based on data. We've suffered as a people trying to drive transparency and accountability, and it has eluded us for a long time. That led to bringing watchdogs like EFCC and all of that to run after people up and down. But there is something of recent that I was speaking with our executive director, that there is something that is happening recently that I like so much. I tried to get the name of the lady that is anchoring coordination of performance at the federal level, who coordinates all the performances of all the ministries, and targets are given to all the ministers in Nigeria now. If you don't have a data-driven ministry, you'll be scored low. And God help you. With the current president, he will not spare you. If nothing is showing from your ministry that you're performing, zero. Now, I looked a little bit here. I saw reform. I saw transformation. I saw peace. I saw what again? Justice, governance. All of us here wants to see some changes happen. And no change can happen, no credible change can happen without data. And that data must be credible. If it's not credible, you may not use it. If you use a false data, it will translate to planning on falsehood, which will translate to failure at the tail end. And then the transformation we're looking for, the reforms we're looking for, good governance we're looking for, the justice we're looking for, and peace and transformation will elude us. We will not be able to get there. I want to go to Abuja, and there's nothing on the roadside to show me that I'm progressing towards Abuja. I will have a trauma in my brain. I'm going to Abuja, then I'm seeing welcome to Kano. That shows I'm lost completely. So data help us walk towards our destination. I'm waiting for my presentation to be up. That's why I kept talking. I was buying time, actually. That's not part of my presentation, please. I was just talking, waiting for it to be up. All right? So today, we are going to learn a little about data management cycle. And before I start, I want to ask us, I think we have a microphone here. I want to ask us, when you see the word data, what comes to your mind? This session is going to be interactive. I'm not the type that, I'm not a lecturer that will stand there and be giving you lecture. This is reality. I want us to go back home with something tangible, with a skill in our hands when we get back home. Okay? So, what is data? Somebody, let's give it.
Okay, data, according to my own understanding, is unprocessed information.
Sorry?
Unprocessed information.
Start this way. Unprocessed information, right? Any other? Okay, sir.
Yeah, just facts from figures, or probably just information or facts. Or facts. About a particular thing, probably looking at, yeah.
From my own perspective, is the fact or statistics that is meant for referencing or statistics meant for reference or analysis. Or analysis.
Mind you, there is no answer that is correct, and there is no answer that is wrong. Just say whatever comes to your mind. Okay. Oh, sorry, I didn't see you. Okay, go ahead.
To me, I see data as a fact or information to make a decision.
All right.
Okay. Data are a combination of raw facts.
Okay,
All right, go ahead.
data are informations that are collected, processed, analyzed for the purpose of policy formulation.
Let's clap for him. I told you there is no correct answer, there is no wrong answer. I think somebody was, okay. Let's have that person.
Okay, sir. That information, facts, collected, analyzed for informed decision making.
Perfect. It captures. It's within the same cycle, right? Great. Now, I want to ask us, if you say data are a collection of raw information or unprocessed information or combination of facts or raw facts for reference purposes or for use in decision making or whatever, then what is information? Okay, process data is information. But we had earlier said data is processed information. Unprocessed information. But can you see that we're going forward and coming back? That's to tell you the linkage between data and information, right? Let me not waste our time. Okay. Today, next please. Today, you're going to see some outline, what we're going to see today. We will define a little about what data is, the importance of a good data and accurate data, and then data management cycle. Those are the key things that we're going to go through today. Before we dive into Kobo Toolbox, all right? Kobo Toolbox is actually an application that helps us to manage data. But then, we need to know this first before getting to that. All right? From there, we said data, right? Data is a collection of characteristics about anybody, anything, any place. As I'm standing, my height, my width characterize my person. Are you with me? That chair I'm looking at there, I can see the color and then the material that is used in making that chair. That characterize that. That is data about that chair. Are you following me? So, anything that defines the person or defines a people or defines a culture or defines anything, the composition and the character of that thing put together are data about that thing. And somebody mentioned something that I like so much. Process. That language, I like it. When you process this, then you have information. When you take my height, the color of my eye, my skin, my weight, everything put together and put it together, you obtain what? The BMI. Who are surgeons here, or is it health workers? You can obtain the BMI. You take my weight, my height, and all of those characteristics. You have information. Once it is processed, you have the BMI about me. All right? So when you process this data, it gives you information. All right? Once you have adequate information about a thing, you become knowledgeable. Is that the spelling of knowledge? KN? Come again. That's why I'm writing the N here. KN. All right? So, form about anything. You become knowledgeable about that thing. All right? When you apply the knowledge you've acquired, then you become wise in that thing. This leads to wisdom. Anybody that you see that is wise is somebody that is knowledgeable and is a very informed person. Anybody that you see wise. If you're not informed, you cannot be knowledgeable. If you're knowledgeable, you'll be wise about that thing. Whatever that thing is, you'll be knowledgeable and you'll be wise in getting it done. But the genesis of all of this is here. How you manage this will tell about the quality of what you get here. And what you get here will tell about the quality of what you get here. And what you get here will tell you how wise or mumu you will be. No, I'm not joking about it. It's true. It's true. There was somebody who hired me to do some work. He just said, Ringpon, do you know what? You must read. I was like, is it that this man feels I don't read or what? How much of me does he know? I didn't understand what the man was saying until I got to the office that he hired me to manage. Then I said, okay, I can see why this man said what he said. I found myself managing like 12 implementing partners with high repute. If I mention some now, you'll be like, High repute. UN agencies, about 12 of them. This small boy. I say, wow. I can see why this man said so. The more informed you are, the more knowledgeable you are. And you'll be so wise in taking decisions. Those who are there, if you don't follow me, I'll finish my slide before. If I don't say next, just be scrolling. Move a little bit again. If not, before you know it, I've finished my presentation without anything coming up. Yeah. Stop there. No, go back. Go back to where that diagram is. I'm going to dwell here more. Then subsequently, I'm just going to run because everything here summarizes what will come up later. Okay? So this is a cycle, data management cycle. It starts by designing and planning out what you want to collect, what characteristics of point of interest are you going to be collecting? What part of me are you going to collect? What do you need? When I came in here, I heard the bishop saying something about vision and mission, right? Imagine we want to see a transformed Nigeria that is transparent and accountable to its citizen. How do we go about that? Is it just to go to the street and say, change, oh, change, oh. Any money they gave you, retire it. Any money they gave you, tell us how you spend it. You will just be wasting your time. Okay? You must, first of all, sit and create a mechanism by which you will be able to track how to get transparency, how to bring transparency to bear, how to bring accountability to bear, so that the change you want to experience will happen. Also, so that when the change occurs, you will recognize and attribute it to your effort. Because if you don't define it that way, at the time it occurs, you may not know whether it is your effort or another person's effort that caused that change to happen. You won't know. So it's extremely important for you to know the data you would be collecting. It is very, very important for you to know the kind of indicators that you would be tracking, so that when the changes are happening, it's giving you a signal that you are progressing or you are retrogressing. So you need to take measures to see how you can take steps towards what you intend to achieve. All right? So, you plan and design the tools for collecting the data. All right? You do the data collection. In the process of data collection, you have to ensure the quality of the data. You enter the data through the mechanism you have created to enter. In our case, we've mentioned Kobo Toolbox, isn't it? Are you hearing me at all? Am I confusing you? Please, if I am confusing you, just stop me and bring me back. And then you tell me where you got confused from, and then from there we'll go up. After the entry, you do the cleaning. And there's what we call data quality assessment. You assess the quality of the data so that it's of integrity, is consistent, is precise, all right, is reliable, and is timely. Timeliness means you can get that data at the time you need it. Because there are certain data that comes at the time you don't need it. It's like you needed it yesterday and it's coming today. It's too late. All right? So all of those must be in place. All right? If this does not occur, don't waste your time rushing to this data analysis. Don't rush yourself going to analyze the data when you have not ascertained the quality of the data and you've not cleaned it. You will do what some people say, garbage in, garbage out. And then that's how, it's like a chain, all right? You garbage in decisions. And that's how things will keep deteriorating instead of improving. Because the data in itself is not accurate. Once the analysis is done, then a report is generated. This is synonymous to this. That report now is information. You are processing. Analysis is processing. You are processing, sieving the things you want to know about and bringing them to bear to the intended audience. All right? Once that reaches there, you have a robust information. Once the information is generated, you sieve the relevant one and present to the intended audience. And at the time of presentation, you need to study your audience very well. If it is a meeting of, say, traditional rulers, I don't know whether I've shared this experience with PSJ before. I was opportune to work in Sokoto. So there was a meeting of all the traditional rulers. And you know, Sokoto being an ancient city that have some very renowned rulers, all the Guadabas and all of those, Kebe and all of those places. Each of those chiefs, there is how they put the other ones before the Sultan, okay? There is how they take themselves and they know seniority and the Keda and all of that. So, data was processed by one of my colleagues. He was boring them with statistics, with p-values, degree of significance, and I'm like, wow. I just looked through the congregation as I'm looking at my sister there now. Okay, can we all stand up? I think the food is working. Let's stand up, everyone. Can somebody give us an energizer? Energizer. I don't know how to do energizers. Except if we are going to do some raps here. Okay.
All right. Okay. Let me help him. We all know how to spell our names, isn't it? Good. Now stretch out your hands. Stretch out your hands. Spell your name quietly. Quietly. Spell your name. Spell your name. Spell your name. Good. Now stop. Okay. This time around, raise your leg. Raise your leg. When I say go, spell your name with your leg. Are you ready? All right, let's go. Spell your name, spell your name, spell your name, spell your name. Now, lastly, we are going to spell our name backward with our legs. If your name is Ishaya, start from the last word, back to I. Are we ready? Raise your legs. Okay, everyone, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. Good, clap for yourself.
Okay, let's clap for him. Let's sit down. Okay, thank you so much. I saw that some people were dozing off because aftermath of lunch is beginning to talk. Yeah, the technical people, can we have our cycle back? Good, thank you. So I was telling us something about Sokoto, right? Great. Just as some of you were sleeping, that was how those chiefs were sleeping. They were practically sleeping. They were practically sleeping. Why? Because my colleague did not try to figure out his audience. That these people may not be too advanced educationally. So don't bore them with too much technical things. All right? Don't bore them with that. When I came up, it was just bar chart that shows immunization rate by LGA, straight. Immediately they saw the name of their LGAs, Tureta, Godebawa. One of the chiefs shouted, "Why is Tureta on high and me as a senior chief, my own is small?" I said, "This is interesting." All of those people, they woke up. Oh, they woke up, all of them. How can it be me, senior chief, this other chief, his own local government is high and my own is in Akeke. Director PhD in Akeke, Tonen. Come here. Can you explain to me why? Why? Do you know, at the end of that meeting, there were commitments from the local government authority to see how they can strengthen their immunization in that local government where the senior chief is. They pull resources. He said, next time we're meeting here, I don't want to see Tureta above my own. You see that helped in moving those people into action. You can see how you collect data, you process it, and make people to act. This is where I'm getting at. We want reform. You want reform? You don't just go and be transformed. No. Show them figures, facts, over time. And they are seeing it. Hoo-ha. And this is a reality. These are data that has been collected over time. Nobody will dispute what you're trying to say. And the change you want to see happen will happen. The actors that you want to pull them towards believing and running along with you to cause that change to happen, they will embrace you. They will call you to their coffers. Has it bothered you that after a conference like this, sometimes some big men will call somebody who stood here that did something? I want us to talk. Do you know why? Because of those facts that you presented has unveiled something inside him. He has the means, but he doesn't know how to go about getting that transformation done. But once he sees this, and you are able to show the person this cause, the person will finance your cause. The person will want to see that transformation you want to bring to your community, he will finance it. Because you have data to show. You have data to show over time. So it's not just for us to meet here and go. Let there be evidence. I told us, subsequent government, in the next 10 years, if you are not sound with credible data, youth will stone you. They will stone you. You are just talking trash. Because we have passed this place. We don't want to hear any story again. We want to see real transformation happen. We want to see track records over time. What have you been doing? The GDP was down like this. You came in, the thing went further. Get out of here. You will be able to tell the person, get out of here. I can't see anything that warrants me following you or voting for you. Because see. And if you attend political meetings, you will be frank to your own political party and tell them, see, our guys are not doing well. If you give a statement like that, you must back it up with figures. If you back it up with figures like this, those politicians, they will not sleep. They will call you. They will call you. Oh yeah, come and tell us, how do we go about this? This is how to engage people using data. so that transformation can happen. All right? Now, it's not every information that you have churned out that you present. There are some of the information that are highly sensitive. What do? It comes to archiving, storage, in a systematic way that anytime you want to pull it out, you can pull it out. But it must be secured. Sorry, let me just stop this. I don't know who is calling at this time. I'm so sorry about this. Let me give this phone to somebody else. Please don't take it. Don't take it. Don't tell them I'm here. Yeah, don't give them any data. I'll call back all the missed calls. So, in the process of this DQA here, there will be some recommendations that these are the challenges with the quality of your data. So it may need you to redesign the tools with which you collect the data. So it gets you back there because you will have to redesign the tools and the way you collect the data. And then the cycle goes on. And you can see the central hub there. You are choked with information. You are choked. Our youth today, we need to be like this. Choked with information. It's not just social media. Social media is another source of getting data and information. But be well informed. Be strategically informed. Let me use that word. Be strategically informed. What do you want happen as a person? What do you want happen? Get every data possible. Instead of gisting, even as you're gisting with your friend, let them know that you are somebody that loves data. Before they know it, they will be bringing the gist like that to you. Before you know, you are surrounded by guys that are giving you data that will run your course. All right? Once you are choked with data like this, my dear, the sky is your beginning point. All right? Thank you so much. Now, there are two sources of data. Primary source and then secondary. All of those I don't want to go into. But the primary are the ones that you collect by yourself. The secondary are the ones you get from other sources. You didn't generate that data by yourself. You didn't collect it by yourself. So secondary can be all the surveys done by National Bureau of Statistics and all of those. Demographic health surveys, education surveys, household surveys, all of that. Census, you choke yourself. You want to be a governor tomorrow, and you don't have a jack about the population you want to govern. What are you going to do there? You don't know how many people you're dealing with within that state. Even your local government, you can't categorically say, this is the total population of women. This is the total population of children. This is the total population of pregnant women. And you're forecasting that in the next 5 years, so. If you're not thinking like that, begin to change your thinking. Choke yourself with data. Let's move. Now, no, stop at this. Stop at this. Why do we want to have accurate data? Why do we want to have accurate data? Remember somebody mentioned reference purposes there? Yeah. So this is key. We have to make reference to how things were so that we can compare with what is now. If we don't do that, we don't know whether we are progressing or we are not. All right? Over there, we mentioned planning and decision making. Can you see why I told you that no answer was wrong and no answer was correct? You can see how all of those answers are fitting into all of this right now. If you know the truth about the thing, do you need anybody to inform you that what you're seeing coming there is fake? Because you know the truth about a certain data. Once you see the fake, somebody writes something, there are 20 people that were killed in Mangu, you just, this one is fake. I already got the correct thing. So if we have good and accurate, then you'll be able to dispel the fake one. Immediately, you're seeing it. Then also, we'll be able to track the progress, whether we're improving or not. There was a time in Kebbi. Don't worry, I'll be using all of those places that I've ever been in my little life to give examples. In Kebbi, Birnin Kebbi in particular, we found out that there are women that were being operated of fistula, and the closure rate of that fistulae is not commensurate to what used to be. So we started asking ourselves, is it that the doctor does not have the requisite qualifications or the skills to do the surgery very well? We were asking ourselves. We said, okay, let's check back. Let's check what is likely going on in this hospital. So we started tracking the closure rate of that fistula. Fistula, I'm just giving you an example. It's like a story backing up some of those points. So that fistula is a condition where women are the process of giving birth for a long period of time. When there is a prolonged labor, then the head of the baby brushes between the delivery canal and the urinary tract of the woman, because the head of the baby is so big that it keeps brushing, and then the muscles there get weakened, and then it erodes and creates a hole between where the urine used to pass and where the birth canal is. So there will be uncontrollable leakage of urine. That's the condition that I'm talking about. So we need a surgeon that will repair that hole so that the woman can regain continence. She will be able to control the urine. So we saw that over time, this thing is, the closure rate is getting lower and lower. So what could be so we started checking. There are other indicators that tells us. We check infection prevention. We check even the skill of the surgeon. Has he attended the first stage, the second stage, and the third stage of training? Yeah, the guy has attended. So what's the problem? Then we landed where the nurses, there are some infection prevention parameters they're supposed to observe. We found out that the nurse was not taking care of those things. We said, okay, so this is the thing. Then we were able to nip that. Is it by driving highway? No. we brought her, trained her again, and other colleagues, all the people that are in that ward that manages those women. We took them through training. After that training, we started experiencing closure rate. The thing moved up. How were we able to do? Because we took notice of the event, the time that training took place. And then there has been a continuous collection of data on the closure rates like that over time. So from that time that they came back from the training onward, we started seeing high percentage of closure rate. So we could attribute it back to that training that they had. And then we were able to know that the lack of closure rate was due to infection prevention. Assuming those data don't exist for us to make reference to, there's nothing to show there. All right? Can we move? This one is not too important. Because the data can be hard through paper or register or soft copies. That's just what I wanted to show here. Move. Okay, data analysis. Now, I kept mentioning things like this, indicators, right? Indicators are signs that shows you a change has occurred. Okay? I don't want to go to the class asking you what do you think, because that would take our time. So if we have already defined our indicators that are of interest to both your organization and the people that gives money for you to do an intervention. If we already define all of this, our analysis and reporting will be based on that. I gave us an example of how you're going to Abuja, then you're seeing welcome to Kano. That means you've lost your way. But if you are going to Abuja and as you're progressing, then you see welcome to Abuja, that shows I've arrived where I intended to arrive. So the indicators, reporting them like that, will tell the person that gives you money to do a course that, okay, you're doing what I gave you money to do. That also translates to accountability, okay, and transparency. Because from your report, you are showing how much you have used to achieve certain results. So next time, they'll give you more money because you are achieving results. All right? It's not just that I gave you money, I don't know what you did with that, then you came back again. Give me money to go and do what? I don't know what you did with the other one. And then you are back here asking me for more money that other one has finished. What did you do with the other one? So, reporting to your donor or the person that is sponsoring your course or the person that sponsor for you to see that transformation happen or peace reign in a place. I say, okay, go and do a dialogue so that peace reign between two persons. Next tomorrow, I saw that the people are still fighting. After a week, the people are still fighting. I'll call you now. The money I gave you, did you do that dialogue? Why are these people still fighting now? And then you're coming for him to give you more money. People are still fighting. Even though there are other things that may make people to still fight, even when I'm just giving you an example. All right? So this is how to report. You will report intelligently. What do you want people to do after reading your report? There should be a causal effect that you want happen, that when somebody read my report, will want to help me do 1, 2, 3 things. Let it not just be that, okay, I gave you money to transform lives. Okay, you transform life. That's all. There's nothing to ginger the person to see the next thing to do so that more lives will be transformed. That will quick, the donor wants to see that. So that will move them to, okay, let's give him more money. He did this. Let's give him more money so that he can do this other one. Something like that. So your report should not just be, you say I should go to Terminus. I'm in Terminus. I've arrived Terminus. So what? Nothing. But if you add up all the juicy things that Terminus is getting too congregated, should we move a satellite market by this? How much do you need? Somebody will ask, how much do you need to do another setup? Because that one is too congested. You see, you ride like that, somebody will want to support you more. All right? Let's move. I've told us about data presentation, how that you study your audience, not just for the sake of, move, we've done this. Now, this is where we are. Our generation is technology driven. And the latest is what? Artificial intelligence. Okay? So, for you to be relevant in our generation, you must. It's not something that you negotiate. Babu, don't tell me that you are from Pilgani, one village there. So we don't bother people with any technology, so I don't need to do anything about technology. You will remain there, and people will progress. So you have to, all right? Any question? Aha. Please give him the microphone.
From your explanation, you gave example with you going to Abuja and you found yourself in Kaduna or Kano like that. Now, in that case, I intended to be in Abuja and I found myself in Kano. Does it mean that I am the one that don't know the road or the driver? If both of us are at fault, we don't know, then are we going to still come back to Jos and start our journey again?
The number one thing that I'll be happy with is that you found yourself in Kano and you know you are in Kano. Then you realize that you're not supposed to be here and begin to move back. I'll be happy. But there are some people, when you found yourself in the wrong place that you didn't intend to be, then you are still there. I can't go back. You tell yourself, I can't go back. That's where you will languish. All right? What we're trying to put there is this. Let's say your key vision in life is to see that accountability is being enshrined in government institutions. And then you're not doing what you're supposed to do to get them accountable. And you don't even know that you are not doing what is expected of you. That becomes a disaster. But at the point that you know that, I'm not actually getting these people to be accountable, and then you retract yourself and begin to work appropriately, then that's a good thing. All right? I understand what you are trying to say. Okay? Your journey involves many people. But you are the key person that's supposed to go to the Kano. At the time you're seeing yourself moving at the wrong direction, you should have alerted the driver. Oh boy, no be here they go. Turn me back. Or something like that. This is a real example. In an organization, you have different people working with you. You must not allow those people bamboozle you to a corner that you don't intend getting there. Here is the bottom line. If you don't define your indicator, then anywhere is an achievement. Anywhere becomes an achievement because you didn't define where you're going. But once you define where you're going, you will recognize it immediately. Okay, I'm getting there. But if you don't define where you're going, you're lost. You're lost forever. Okay. After you, can you announce the person?
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Abraham Odumike. I'm a community champion with Budget Tracker. I also deal with data and informations. And trust me, the government is spending a lot in terms of data gathering and all of those things. And besides that, civil society organizations such as yours spend a lot of resources goes into data gathering and all of this, just such as we're having right now, right? Now my question is, what if data are gathered, and the government does not do anything with it? I'm asking this question against the backdrop of the fact that UNESCO, which Nigeria is a signatory to, says that every country must spend nothing less than 30% of its budgetary allocation for education. And trust me, from 2015 to date, Nigeria has not done past 7%. Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire have been doing 25% and all of those things. You understand? So, what do we do when... So what will you do when the government do not take these things seriously? Thank you, sir.
Let's clap for him again. It's a worse situation if such data don't exist. Let's start by having them available. You are the change agent that would ensure that data is being used in decision making. Why am I saying this? When you stood up and you were quoting all of those statistics, my stomach was so excited. I felt so blessed that we are beginning to see what we want to see in youth. That you stand up in a meeting and you're quoting policies and you're quoting statistics backing up what you're trying to say. There is no governor that will not invite you. Come, let me see you after this meeting. That's part of why this meeting is taking place. So that you become that change agent. And how do we start that? By demanding for data. Demand for data. Let's say today they employ you at level 10, or 9, or 10. And you enter, say, oh God, see your seat here. You sat down, brah. And then you're waiting for file to come. Babu, you should leave that seat, go and stand in front of the director. Okay? What's the data about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? because you already know the mandate of that ministry. Everybody will begin to shift seats. You understand? These are serious minded. If there are serious things that are coming from above, your God will look for you. You become useful in that ministry, and that's the change. The change will start from there by demand that we make wherever we find ourselves. If we're demanding for data, you will see that advocacy for use of data will become very easy. But if we ourselves are not demanding for it, at the end of the month, they're giving me my salary, I'm done. That's how we'll continue. That's how we'll continue. No change at all. Sir, somebody wanted to say? Okay.
All right, thank you, sir. Most of the questions I actually wanted to ask have been asked already. But then, just like what we were told, now statistic will go chop. But then, you've made it known to us now that we cannot grow or develop without statistics or data. There is no way we want to do that. But the question I want to ask is, in the vehicle, in the production line of the data you talked about, the management, the cycle, within it lies the human nature. So how do we control the human mind in the entire process, where as a data scientist, you are approached that you have to tweak a certain data to suit the organization or to get some budget or get some maybe grants. Maybe you are. So what do you do, like as a data scientist? So what do you do at that point?
No.
And secondly, sir,
okay.
What course would advise a layman to take who is not in, data world, as to be able to audit the quality of the data he or she is, presented with?
There are about two things that are standing out there. Number one, integrity as a person is key. Integrity as a person is not something that you buy in the market. If you are not a man of integrity, it will reflect in everything you do. And that's personal. You can't force somebody. You can't force integrity on somebody. All right? It's a personal thing. It's a personal development. And that will translate into the daily activities that person does. Okay? Now, in terms of the quality, certain things you need to do. If you give me a data right now, let's say you just give me a table, the first thing I would do as a layman, I would just total, horizontal, total, vertical. Are they speaking? That's the first thing I would do as a layman. If they are not tallying, I'll say, carry this trash. Your data is not even speaking at all. Unlike the professors that will be changing figures during elections up and down. You are seeing the thing. Okay, let me not go there. Let me not go there. Did I try to share what? There are other deeper things you need to do as a person if you want to learn quality data. Okay? Is it reliable? Reliability, how do you get to know whether this data is reliable? I tell you that I was born 15th October 1975. I just told you now. Then later I came back and said, I'm 20 years old. How reliable is that? Those are part of the things. It's something that you have to use your document to tweak out. I say, oh, no, this does not tally. All right? It's not reliable. What I'm telling you, it's not reliable. These are part of the things. And I don't know whether you're trying to say what course of study should somebody study to do data collection and all that? Is that what you're trying to ask? Okay. Oh, okay. A layman. That's what I've just said. So let me I wanted to be sure. Because I want you to know that I'm not a statistician, but since I left school, I've never used my course. The statistics I've been on since I left school. I'm a geographer. Aha. But there's nothing you show me in statistics I don't know now. Because of use over 15 years, I'm inside data 247, like that. Analysis, whatever kind of analysis, ANOVA, all of them, every day, I'm into it. So it's interest. If you expose yourself to it, you will see yourself in it. Okay? Yeah. Things are evolving. Our generation is data sensitive. You want to get people to marshal after you, speak data. You can see how my heart just magneted to this guy. Immediately he was cutting those statistics. I felt like hugging him straight. It's not because of anything. This guy is giving me facts. Exist. And then anything he says after that, I agree. If I have money, I'll say, it's signed, go and do it. It's signed, go and do it. All right, sir. All right, thank you so much, sir. Now, in an organization, it's not the role of monitoring and evaluation people or data officers. Everybody is responsible because whether you like it or not, you will still use those same data. So imagine yourself staying aloof and then expecting somebody else should give him data. And then later on you say, you gave me fake data. You yourself, what have you contributed to seeing that the data is of integrity? All right? So everybody, even though there are certain people that are responsible, their responsibility is key to be that delivering data. But then it's everybody's responsibility to see that data, quality data, are being shown out to an organization so that we have credible planning and have credible policies that will cause reforms, transformations that we want to see happen. Please, can this too be the last, because our time is up. You and Baba, I've been watching Baba since. Can Baba ask? Then you.
My name is Ahmed Yahayajo. I'm a member of the PSJ research team. Now, the issue here is this. When you talked about data collection, you talked about primary sources and secondary sources. Now, always when reports come out, analysis and all that, there's always a disconnect. For instance, the Transparency International thing about corruption, perception and all that. Government will always insist they've employed officers, they've done investigations, they've done prosecutions, but then Transparency International in London will say another thing. When you talk about banditry, arms headsmen and all that, there's always this disconnect between secondary sources and primary sources. For we at PSJ, how would you advise us? These young ladies and gentlemen you see here, they come from all over Nigeria. They represent different states and everything. So reports will be coming in. And some of these reports might not tally with the secondary reports of other NGOs and government organizations, it could show a trend going up or down. Now, as PSJ, how would you advise us to resolve such things, particularly against the background that there's so much disinformation and misinformation out there? Then secondly, again, the issue of artificial intelligence. The little I know about artificial intelligence, it can actually generate data on its own based on past trends and so on. Kindly advise PSG. Thank you.
There's something we call triangulation. You've heard that word before? So that's what he's trying to say. You triangulate between secondary sources and the primary sources, what you've just finished, your findings of your research. You're triangulating between, and they're not just speaking. What would you do? I want us to talk, then I'll say something. What would you do?
Thank you. In my own opinion about primary and secondary is that primary are the root source of it. Secondary is just gathering information based on what other primaries have gathered together. So I would go by assessing why is the primary not tallying with the secondary, starting from the primary actually, knowing that that is supposed to be the beginning of the information. Thank you very much.
Yes. Secondly, to add up to what he has said, when a primary source gives data or a statistic on something and there is inconsistency from other sources, either another primary source, we can have two different bodies or organizations that can collect data on the same thing and they cannot arrive at the same result. But reality has it that the differences will always correlate. It can never be more than 5%. It can never be more than 10%, at most 15, most at times.
The last person, then I will respond before.
Okay, I think one of the basic thing here is when collecting data, field work, buyer's mind, it's always there for whosoever is on the field. So it's preferable for an organization, if you want a certain data, you just get competent hands, train them, send them to go to the field. And I think one of the basic things they tell you while you're on the field is like, don't coerce your respondent to what you want. But in a situation when you fight that in our country is this, they want you to get what they want. So they'll tell you, say this. So this is the primary data. The good year secondary data is saying another different thing. So,
okay, let me say something. He said something close to what I wanted to respond on. The percentage error between all of those different sources should be something that should speak to you. Is it too wide, a percentage error? Is it within an acceptable limit? Many top organizations that are responsible for certain surveys that we know, like DHIS, demographic health surveys, or education household surveys, all of those. We already know these are strong bodies that when they say a thing, everybody agrees with it. So if you do your own primary and it's not tallying, what is the percentage error between what you've done and the one that high body has done? Some school of thought said between 5% to 10 is acceptable. So if it is within that range, you know that you are within the same cycle, or what will I use? Margin, margin of error. So it will be acceptable. So your margin of error is key when when you're triangulating and it's not just tallying. All right.
And the second question you didn't answer is the AI.
Okay, intelligence. Yes, it generates quite accurate information. But I want to get it again. What did he say about it clearly? Danger? Now, the reason why it's generating that, it pulls from sources just like we are saying now. Yes. And you know, AI, even these error margins that we're talking about, it will strike a balance between all of those. It triangulates between all of those. So it is most of the time more accurate. Most of the time is more accurate. Yeah, but then, depending on your organization, just as my guy said. Sir, you want to say something? Sir?
Even AI will tell you, if it is most recent data, it will tell you it's not reliable if you know how to use it well. So the older the data is, because AI is always improving, the older the data is, the more accurate it is. But if it is something that is just happening now, you might not get accurate data, and it will tell you to verify. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Sure, sir.
All right, sir. Okay, my question boils down to the human aspect where he mentioned his question earlier.
Okay.
I worked for an organization, and you did make mention of integrity. Now, with regards to the consistency of things in the field and how that people no longer have regard for integrity, how do you now want to encourage younger people? Because this is what happened. They went into the field, and while they were acquiring data, some persons were forced to compromise. And as they refused, the organization sacked them. Now, those ones that were sacked, till tomorrow, there's nothing you would tell them about data that they will ever have regard for. So how do you now strike a balance, between being a person of integrity and learning to suffer on account of integrity, knowing that it will eventually pay?
Now, do we know that for Nigeria to secure independence, some people died? Some people died physically. And some people couldn't obtain their doctorate degrees or some things, a kind of victimization or whatever. You won't hear the story of these other people that died, or maybe in the course of things like that. But today, we're standing on their sacrifices, isn't it? Those guys have sacrificed. Today, we are initiating a platform where integrity should be upheld, and you are the change agent. You will start by yourself. Everything starts somewhere, and it must start with us. After Tinubu, I'm telling you, I'm very serious about this. After Tinubu, no nonsense person will stand here again. No nonsense person will stand in this country that he wants to rule. We will hold that person. We will hold that person to, okay, let me just reserve it. Let me just reserve it until you see it happen. Until you see it happen, then you remember that man was saying that thing, or I see it happen. Okay? Because we're too tired. We're tired. In fact, I'm fucked out. Okay? So, this is what will happen tomorrow. I didn't want to bring us to the point of Kobo Toolbox. All right? Tomorrow, we are going to dive into Kobo Toolbox. so that we'll see how we can be submitting data from wherever we are. Okay? We will generate accounts for some of us so that as things are happening within your locality, it's just it's in the mobile phone now. You just send it and we're seeing it everywhere. And everybody here will be seeing. And will be informed that things are happening here, things are happening there. Okay? It's lack of data that is causing us to be so parochial about so many things about this country. The people are informed. They are knowledgeable. What is wisdom? Thank you. It's application. You apply that knowledge. That means you are taking action. Application means you are taking action based on the knowledge you are taking action. So, this is a generation that takes action based on. Thank you. God bless you. See you tomorrow.
Thank you, sir, for your time. We appreciate that. Now we quickly move to our next session for today, which is the use of media for advocacy. Can we please make welcome Mr. Ruben Buhari as he comes forward, please?
Thank you very much. Can we all stand? Let's just stand and stretch, please. Just turn around and shake the hands of 5 people. Shake 5 people. All right. When you are done shaking the hands of the 5 people, then you can sit down. All right. Can we take our seats, please? All right, thank you. So what we're going to take this 1 hour to do is to speak to us about the media. If you check your program, you see it titled as Media Advocacy. Now, basically what we're trying to do is to see how we can teach ourselves to use the media to speak for us. And in all these things I'll be seeing in this 1 hour, I have 2 hours, but we're going to do an hour, is to tell you how powerful the media is. To open our eyes to see how powerful the media is. There's something they keep saying, and I want to re-emphasize it, is that whoever holds an information, whoever sent an information to you controls you. Yes. Let me give you an example. I was sitting on the desk. Then I was working as a news editor for Leadership newspaper, and I was in Abuja. And around 10 o'clock, I think around 11, we're still trying to put the paper together. And then I got a call from someone who told me his name, and he said, please, there's a report that's going to come in from Adama. We're interested in that report. And I said, what report? He said, there's a report they are going to send. You know, all the 36 states, you know, they send a report to my desk. So I now called my reporter in Adamawa and I asked him, I said, what happened in Adamawa? And he said, nothing. I said, nothing? Yes. Now, after like 20 minutes, the person who called me now called me again. He said, Oga Ruben, I'm outside too. I said, okay. So when I went outside, he said, there's a report that they are going to send from Adamawa. And the report has to do with Ribadu, you know, the current security advisor. He said, please, if that report, when that report comes, we want you to look at it properly. He said, properly? So I said, it's okay. So he gave me a folder, a packet. Like I said, there are some documents inside. So I collected it, went back to my desk inside the newsroom, opened it, and I saw money. You see, I counted it, my hands were shaking. And I saw it was 350,000. Now, that time, my rent was due. You know, I looked at that money and I called him. I said, you said document? He said, yes, it's document. So I was a bit confused. And I called my reporter again, Dama. I said, Kai, Fadamun gaskiya me ke faruwa Dama. He said, there's nothing happening. So I went back and I called the guy. I said, look, this document you gave me, please, I'm not interested in it. Well, I said it half-heartedly because I was still looking at my house rent, you know. So I said, come and collect your document. He said, it's okay, I should hold it first. Around 12, I called the reporter. I said, nothing has come to my table. He said, Oga, nothing happened. So by 1, 2, we sign off and then we rolled the paper. And the next day, and I called him and I said, Oga, this is your document. Come and carry it. He said, I'm coming. So I now called the reporter again. Adam, I said, exactly what happened. But now he said, Oga, nothing. I've been there, Faru. Now, what I realized, what I got to know later on was that something actually happened. And because I was on the desk that day, every news comes through me. I go through it and then we assign it to pages, send it to page planners, and then they put everything together, and then before we sign off and we roll. So at that particular time that I was sitting down, I was in charge of all the report that comes from all the 36 states. Everything comes to my table. And at that particular time, there's this level of power that I wield that was huge. That then he was done with his stint as the FCC chairman. That something could happen in Adamawa, and these guys will be running up and down, trying to look at me. Because what they're trying to do is that when the report comes, please sit on it. The media is terrible when it comes to that. The media is terrible. And this is part of the agenda-setting ability of the media that most of us don't know. So we were able to sort that one out. They realized I wasn't too keen on playing game. So what they did later on realized was that they met the reporter in Adamawa and they sorted him out. And then he killed the story from there. Don't ask me how I ended with the... Please don't ask me how we ended with the document. But what I'm trying to say is that the media is very powerful. And we're all products of the media in terms of how we think, the clothes we wear, and virtually everything. Even the food we eat is a function of the media. Malcolm X said that the media is the most powerful entity on earth. The media has the power to make the innocent guilty and to make the guilty innocent. And that's power, because it controls the mind of the person who listens to it. Sometimes, unconsciously, unknowingly, the media controls you without even knowing. I don't know whether anyone has ever tried something. Thank you, sir. You, for example, I give you a lift from here to Kaduna, and I start playing a particular song from here to Kaduna, and you are a passenger. I don't know whether you've ever noticed. The moment you dropped from the car, you realize that the song rings in your head. It rings in your head. without any effort, to learn it. It means that consistently you have been exposed to that particular information. And you, without knowing, you have assimilated it. And it begins to work in you. And that is what we mean when we say the agenda-setting ability of the media. The media, like we said in Malcolm X, has the ability to make the guilty to be innocent and the innocent to be guilty. It all depends on what they do. Now, what happens is that the news you get bombarded with, every news you get bombarded with, somebody has an interest on that news. Altogether. So he selects what he wants you to know, and he holds back what he doesn't want you to know. And because of the consistency in that particular thing that he sent, you begin to assimilate and you begin to behave in the direction he wants to behave. It means now he has changed you in his own particular way. As you progress, we'll come to something that we'll call framing. It's very important in the media. When we talked about framing, is the skill. And we're saying this thing because all of us, have one or two things with PSJ. And from time to time, we will help in sending reports and some other things like that. From time to time, we'll be involved in act of advocacy where we need to be strategic in how we send our report or how we speak to people. For example, when we say, for example, you go to a supermarket and you see a sign that tells you this is 80% lean meat. And then there's another sign that tells you this is 20% fat. Now, all these are saying the same thing, isn't it? All these are saying the same thing, but it is the presentation now. And that is the framing ability of the media. And this is what happens. Now, most of us run away from meat that has so much fat. Altogether, kissy, run away from it. Meat that does not have fat, most of us go we move toward it. So you go to a supermarket and you see this 80% of this meat is lean meat. And then another sign says 20% of this meat is fat. Now, these are the two forms of framing. Most people will go for this. It does not reduce the fact that they see 20% of it, but this is what they see. Altogether, this is now what they see, and they go with it. So this is framing, and it's part of the agenda-setting ability of the media. It's a deliberate attempt to change you by the amount of information that I release to you. And that's why nobody plays with information. Nobody. You see, if you look at this crisis that is going on between Hamas and Israel, you see the controversy on Al Jazeera. Israel have banned them because they say they are inciting the people. Whereas part of the world embraces Al Jazeera. They feel they are saying the truth. Now, it all boils down to interest. It boils down to what I want you to know and what I don't want you to know. So if you play with the media, then you become a slave to manipulation from someone out there. Altogether. So in PSJ, we need to take the issue of the media very, very seriously, especially in the information that we send out. How do we even send the information out is very important. How do we send the information is very important. When I was in leadership, for every news that comes out on the front page, who is the media person here? Is there a journalist that is here who relates? Good, thank you. Okay, yeah, and I know. Now, for every news that appears on the front page, wherever Sam in that Isaiah is late, you must send that front page to him to look at and approve. Because he considers it so important, he wants to be in charge of whatever it is that is going on. So wherever he is in this part of, in any part of the world, we'll scan it, we'll send it to him. He looked at it, and then he said, okay, approve, or change this, or that, or that, or that, and then it's because he knows how important it is, and he wants to control it. Okay? So what we're saying is that, the media is loosely described as the fourth estate of the realm. Now, this is because of the power that the media wield, to the extent that the Constitution even made reference to it. You remember in chapter 22, is it chapter 22 or section 22, where it gives the rules of the media. It means that even the framers of the Constitution are conscious of the power that the media wields, and because of that, they needed to bring it in. And that's why it's loosely described as the fourth estate. You have the judiciary, you have the executive, and then what is the other one? And then the media becomes the fourth estate of the realm. So what we're saying is that the media is very important. And especially at this stage that we're in, the media is very, very important. It is very critical to every part of our life. I think when the bishop was talking, he was answering a question, and he said, no, they were asking him how were things before and how are things now. I think something like that. And he was telling them, And I went to one house, and I think the mother was telling the little girl, pack your toys and take them to the room. And the girl was doing like this. But pack your things, I'll beat you, pack your things and take it to the room. And I'll not do it. When I saw that, and I say, hey, God bless Mama Ruben. Oh, my God. Oh, God. Oh, God bless her. I let you know, sir. She is fire, pure fire. You see, sometimes I used to say our mothers are deliberately wicked. They will not even tell you, pack those toys to the room, indirectly, to make it even more difficult. I'm going out to come back. If they burn you, don't pack those things. And she leaves. When she comes back and those things are there, some of our mothers said they don't need to talk. It's sign language. If they do like this to you and you don't decode, it becomes a problem. Someone said that she brought water or something like that, and she was asking the mother where she should keep it, and the mother said, put it on my head. So what I'm trying to say is that the stage at which we are now is very critical, and we need to embrace the media because it has a bearing on our daily lives. It has a bearing on our daily lives. It affects us. The clothes, like I said, the clothes we wear are a function of some of the things we see on the media. Even the food we eat, there's a food I hate. I don't know, and I really love it. It's pizza. I hate that thing. The day I tried it, and she was the one that bought it. The day I tried, I said, this thing and Dusa, there's no difference. But you see, these are things that, where did this pizza come from? We're seeing it on TV, from Italy, is it from where? And then it became part of us. Some of these girls, if you say, I want to take you out, what should I buy for you? Pizza. And if you ask them whether their mother used to cook pizza, what will they tell you? So what we're saying is that this is the evolutionary trend, that we're in. And we need to embrace it. And the media keeps coming in and keeps changing and keeps changing. Right now in this room, I'm sure everybody has a smartphone in this room. Everybody has a smartphone in this room. But years back, we don't have these kind of things. So this is how the media is changing. And if we don't change with it, then we will be left behind. Like I said, it's very, very important. And to emphasize the importance of the media, do you remember when Buhari said something and they banned the media? You remember? For almost 4 months, is it 4 or 6 months? They shut down the media. Just because the media took out something he said. Even during the NSAS movement, they didn't totally ban it, but you have some difficulties. They were trying to control it. And that's why in some of these countries, North Korea and some of these things, they seriously regulate these things. They regulate this thing totally. In terms of crisis, what the government can do is just have to just shut down the whole thing. In Kaduna, they did that. Under the guise of they were fighting criminals, so they don't want to allow criminals to do what? To keep talking, and then they shut down the whole thing. Come and see us back then in Kaduna. If you're able to get one small network, you see people hanging like this. They don't even want to move. So what I'm saying is that these are examples of how powerful the media is. And when that thing happened, when that tweet of President Buhari was taken out, it affected a lot of things, especially SME. We lost a lot of money then because of all these things. And then let's go back to the infamous Decree 4 of 1984. Remember that one too? The Decree 4 of where they were jailing people for no reason. Media people, and once you issue a statement, you do anything that the government then were not really comfortable with, they just jail you. They were killing and jailing a lot of people. God bless and rest the soul of Thompson and what was the name of the other person that were killed. A lot of them, were dealt with. Now, we're doing all this, we're saying all these things because even the government that is in power realize how important the media is, and they realize that they need to control it. If they leave the media in the hands of this one and they said you have the freedom, of course, which the Constitution has given us the freedom to say whatever it is they want to say, okay, and they leave it, they realize that there's going to be a problem. The first time I was arrested was when we had this killing in Bondon, 2000, and Bernard is smiling because he knows, 2014, isn't it? In one night, about 120 or 30 people were killed in one night. And then I was working with the Minister of Environment, Lawrence Shamala. And we went there, we saw the whole thing, and it was terrible. I pray that you don't get to see what we saw. It's terrible, it's terrible. Because even when we went then, dead bodies were still being picked from the bush. There was a picture I took that Sahara reporters, kept using it. We were entering and I saw a woman, an elderly woman, about 90 or thereabout. She was half naked, just a little cloth like this. She was sitting on top of a mound, that later turned out to be a mass grave. She sat down on it and she was crying. Now, the story we got then was that she left home a day before to greet someone who was not feeling fine. And then the attack took place. They wiped out everybody in our family. Everybody. They wiped out. So when she came back, that was when they did the mass burial. So she climbed on top of it and she sat down on it. It was terrible. So we put together all these pictures and then we gave her, we said, go and show this to Jonathan. And she didn't. 2 days later, go and show this to Jonathan. Let them see what is happening. And she didn't. So I now flooded the social media with it. I said, people need to see what's happening. And then that was when the whole funny issue started. I was in Abuja, brought me here, kept me for some hours. I went back thinking I was done, and then And then, of course, for media people, if you are covering an agency, if they have advert, it is you they will give. So that you get a small commission. For every media person, that's what usually happens. So I went to the office one day, and then I saw 5-page column in this day. And I started screaming. I said, hey, who brought this advert? And they said, it's from here. I said, yes, who brought it? It's one who's in Oja, and you know, he was the one that brought it. I told myself, that I saw it like my paper. I did this in the training. And where are you? I said, come to the office. You know, so I went to the office and gave me a backup, a 50 kg backup, rice and 30,000. I said, okay, the commission I would have made from this thing, the commission itself is about 500,000 on those 5 things. And I felt cheated. And I said, okay, I'm going to teach them a lesson. So one day we had a press briefing. You know, they do an annual press briefing at the end of the year to give all the achievements. Cases they won and cases they lost. So I attended the press briefing. So they reel out all the cases they won. So when I was doing my report, and of course, you know, it was the FCC. I now started from all the cases they lost. The last one paragraph, I just lumped everything. These are the cases they won. So the banner headline on this day was that EFCC lost it. So in the morning, when I saw the thing, I knew there would be a problem. But I said, I'm ready. So Wilson called me, Ruben, why would you do this to us? I said, okay, you did something to me. But it was serious. My paper had to ask me to go and do another report, you know. But since then, he never played with me. Any advert that comes, you say, Ruben, where are you? Okay? So, the media is very important. And you who get to hold it becomes very important. Are we together? And then people around becomes jittery. Are we together? They become jittery and they try whatever it is that they could to ensure that you do not exercise this thing that you want to exercise. Okay? So we're re-emphasizing that if you allow anyone to feed you with any information, you have given the person an opportunity to control you. Because if he has interest in that information, then he selects what he gives you. And he holds back what he doesn't want you to know. And then you go to town with the information that he has fed you. And in any conversation you said, this was what I saw or I read. The person behind it has an interest and he allows you to hear what he wants you to hear. Okay? And that is why it's very important for you to take part and take an interest in anything that has to do with the media. Senator McCarthy, up to today, he has been out of power for years, but he has a set of media people that he pays them every month. Every month. Every month he pays them. And what he does is to ensure that they protect him. If anything comes, they said, oh God, there's this thing we've had to, and they said, kill it, and they kill it. Yeah, it happens. You see, it's a combination of things that are right and things that are wrong. Especially this habit that we do where we do event and then we wait behind for what Oga Ishaya will give us. No, I didn't say that. Okay? But this is what it's all about. So let me end this session by telling you that you get controlled, you get manipulated by the media without even knowing it. Unconsciously, without knowing it, someone manipulates you. And sometimes we think that the media do not make mistakes. There's a lot of deliberate mistake that they make, deliberately. Someone was asking a question on this issue of tweaking data. Let me tell you, it happens. Someone lost a job. He was our Sunday editor. He lost a job because when we did the headline, the front page, They now sent to Simon Isaiah and he said, no, he doesn't like that thing. Then he had a problem with Goodluck Jonathan. And he said, cast the headline like this. And the person said he will not do it. He said, I said, cast the headline like this. And the Sunday editor said he will not do it. I said, okay. So we went to bed with the paper. And the next day, they transfer into a section that we have. They call it the democracy or something. Once they take you to that part, then they are easing you out. So if he had allowed that thing to go out, it means that at this highest level, manipulation would have taken place. And then you buy the paper the next day, open it and be screaming, look at this thing, look at this thing. And it's factual. I know how we keep making reference to what we see. Where did you hear it? It was printed in the newspaper. Where did you see it? It was, let me tell you, I've had the opportunity of killing a lot of stories that is not suitable to my paper. Stories will come in and they said, Kai, if this one gets out, Oga and Isaiah will not be happy, so we stepped it down. And that's why sometimes you do an event, you bring journalists, and then you find out that your news does not come out. Is either that news, whether there's no space, or somebody looked at it and said, this one, just push it. Because there are a lot of interests, cultural, religion, and so many things come into play in a paper. I mean, in Jos, if we ask you to list some of these papers that I think are favorable to people in Jos and not, you have an idea. There are some papers here, if you do an event, you don't call them. Because these people will not report what we want to report. Or these people have this history of reporting wrong things. Isn't it? Yeah. So these are all the manipulation. These are all the manipulation that takes place. So, like I said, we will... Okay, 30 minutes. We're trying to see how we finish this thing very, very early. And because we are talking to people who are enlightened here, we do this training to rural people all over northern state. Visit, do this thing. So when Oga told me the caliber of people that will be sitting down here, we decided to tweak it, a bit so that it meets your expectations. And by expectations, I mean we just flow through some of the things. We don't need to go into detail. But one thing that I wanted to establish is the fact that the media is very, very, very important. The media is very important. And sometimes I keep asking myself, I said, how come there are certain sections of the media that some of us don't take interest in it? Like BBC. How many of us have ever applied? Sometimes you say it's because of the Hausa, but there's the English part of it. And then even when it comes to the Hausa, you find out that there are non-Hausa speaking people in most of these states that when they speak, you think that it's a Hausa man that is speaking. But we don't bother about it. And that's why sometimes it gets filled up by people who have certain interests to protect. And you see certain report and you said, these people did not take our own part of the report. It's all about interest. The international media is all about interest, let me tell you. CNN, BBC, Al Jazeera, Sky, they have interests that they are protecting. When China realized that they need to have absolute control of their report, they started sending people from China to come and learn Hausa so that they will do the China, this thing, the Hausa speaking this thing. If you listen to them, you find they are speaking Hausa, but with terrible accent. But it's Hausa they are speaking. It's because they want to be in total control of it. Let their own people be in total control. So they now send their people, come learn Hausa. So they will come in and learn Hausa, and then they go back there, set up the Hausa section of the China News Agency, something, and then they will be doing it. They are so particular that they don't want to leave it in the hands of anybody. They are so particular about it. So we also, in part of the training we do, we also talked about the different types of media. So I'll just brush it. And we do this thing in order for you to have a choice when you have an event. Because there are certain events that you want to report, but there are medias that will not carry it. Are we together? There are media that will not carry it. So what we do is that we also give you a roundup of some of these media, and we tell you their peculiarities. So that if you have an event, possibly let's say an attack takes place in this place, and you want to report it. You now looked at daily trust, leadership, this day, blah, blah, blah. And then you said, no, by virtue of the slant that I've seen in this paper, by virtue of their cultural and religious, slant, this is the one we're going to try. So in all these things, we've given you an option. Because if you looked at all these papers, daily trust and leadership are known as northern papers, isn't it? Even though leadership is trying to stay in the middle. If you go to Lagos, only at the airport will you get a copy of daily trust. But come down to the north, every office in the north has a copy of daily trust. Isn't it? If you go to Adama, for example, this day newspaper that you see would have been a day old. They don't bother about it. Isn't it? If you go to Akwa Ibom, for example, hardly will you get a copy of either leadership or daily trust. But you see Guardian, you see This Day, and possibly Punch. So these are the interests that are in it. So if you don't know the peculiarities of these papers, it becomes very, very difficult for you to do what? To select. When Ese Orurua was abducted from Bayelsa, you all know the stories. She was abducted from Bayelsa and taken to Kano. And then, people were making a little noise about it. And then the mother even went to Kano, went to Tofa, asked the man, release my daughter, and the man refused. And then Punch took it up. Punch started making it even their editorial. Front page. Anything that has to do with Ese Orurua was front page. They even created a hashtag, Free Ese. They led the whole team. And that was what led to where this girl, became freed. I think 5-6 months later. Even though she came back home with 5-month-year-old pregnancy. But they led it. So these are interests and this interest basically stems from the fact that Ese is from the the south, south. So they took it up as their own. Possibly, if the abduction had taken place in a remote village in Katsina, they wouldn't have been bothered. Isn't it? So these are the peculiarities of people that usually come into play. And some of us sometimes, we collect it and then we say, paper, not knowing that behind it, a lot of manipulation and stuff usually takes place. So the conventional media, and then when I'm done, I'm going to make a copy of this thing available. So when you see me skipping, it's because, you all have a copy of it, okay? The radio has its, advantages and disadvantages, and they are many, okay? I'll just go through them so that when you have the copy, you can actually look at it. And then the newspaper too, in selection of news. I looked at some of the advantages of the newspaper, and that's one advantage it has is believability, especially with older audience. They believe everything that is printed in the newspapers. Whereas for us, the younger people, anything on the social media is what we believe most. Isn't it? Yes. And then there's this thing with one advantage with the newspaper, which is this storage. Yeah, we call it storage. I don't know whether some of you have parents where they have this stack of old newspapers. From time to time, they go back, dust the thing small, and carry it and start reading it. Okay? They so much believe in it. For even some of us, you see some of us, when we buy Kose, when we are done with the Kose, we shake the thing and we start reading it. You see, you shake the pepper smoke, out of it, and then you start reading it. So these are some of the advantages of newspaper. To some larger extent, the news you put into it, get to travel to some extent, and then it gets to be stored. For those of us who are doing research, this thing with content analysis or some other things, you go to most of these newspaper houses and say, please, can I have a paper that was published in 20 19 or something like that, and they bring it. So these are some of the advantages you get, excuse me, when you put some of your news in newspaper. And then we have the television, which also has its own advantage and, of course, disadvantages. One of the disadvantages with the television is the high cost of advert. To put a 60-second advert prime time in NTA, I think it's about 2 million now. Yes. Let me tell you, in these papers, okay, in this day, the first 10 pages in this day, if you want to put full page colored, is 1 million flat. 1 million. After the 11th page, then it reverts to its 700 or thereabout this thing. So it's really expensive. It's really expensive. Wrap around that you see in a newspaper, you know this wrap around, front page, inside, back page, inside, back page, is about 30 million. Yes. And this is just for one edition. It's about 30 million. Because the paper now put only two news on the front cover. And the rest of the space is just for you. And you see, during the election, you see some politicians taking it up, 30 million. You know, and then, of course, the social media. Now, the social media is what we encourage people most. Is an avenue that has come in, and it moves away from all this censorship that you have in the conventional media. It gives you the ability direct to reach out to whoever it is that you want to reach. And we try as much as possible to encourage people. Of course, it has its own advantages and disadvantages. But we try as much as possible to encourage people to embrace it. One man was traveling they said he was traveling to Lagos. And then a lady was sitting behind him, and her phone rang, and she answered, say, hello, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to Kano, and okay. And then the next time, another call came in, and the lady said she's going to Akwa Ibom. The third time call came in, and she answered, hello, how are you? I'm on my way to Benue. And the man that was sitting down, he said, driver, please, where's this car going? Because he said, he actually paid to go to Lagos. But he's being confused by what is happening here. So these are some of the disadvantages, that comes in with all these things. And that's why we tell ourselves that it's not everything you see on the social media that you believe. It's not everything you see. But it's an excellent avenue for you to do what? For you to reach out to whoever it is that you want to reach. At the height of the killings in southern Kaduna. And then, Governor El-Rufai was still the governor. And he was running a doctorate program in a university in Netherlands. Yes. And then killings were taking place in his backyard. And he was giving this I don't care attitude to the whole thing. So what we decided to do was to do a Twitter activity. We got the Twitter handle. Okay, they call it X now, but Twitter sounds more sweet. So if I say Twitter, you know that I mean X. So we got the Twitter handle of the chairman of the school, Twitter handle of the administrator, and then some of this thing, we were able to get it. And then we started pumping them. At a particular time, we say 2 p.m., for example, we're going to tweet for 30 minutes, like 20 people, the same thing. We're saying, one of your students in your school, this is what is happening in his state. See what is happening in state. All the gory pictures, dead pictures, destruction and everything. And we're saying he's not even bothered with what is happening. He should stay and sort this problem instead of this thing. And it dealt with him. It dealt with him. So what I'm saying is that, with the social media, you are able to send your message directly to whoever is there. Get the Twitter handle or whatever it is. The work that Alheri has done was basically, it's basically on social media. Twitter and then Facebook. Put something on Facebook out there and, it goes high wire. You see, this story she was telling you, it happened during an attack in Chibok. For those of you who know Chibok, they had an attack. And I even interviewed the woman. The woman said when the attack started, she now carried her 2-year-old baby And then she had a little, I think 4 years or something like that, and they started running. They were running and they were pursuing them. She got to a river and then she was trying to cross. In crossing, she was able, after so much struggle, she was able to cross, and then she realized that the 2-year-old baby was not on her back. She went back, was checking the river and everything. She didn't see the baby. So we saw her at the IDP camp in Zankwa. And I interviewed her. I had a video of her, speaking and everything. In fact, we were running up and down looking for help for her. We had people that were trying to give her money. A lot of people, grinding machine, this. Even my church, call her and they give her 60,000 to help. A lot of people. And then suddenly news started coming out. This man was not the victim. This man is not the victim of some other thing. It was when the thing became high. I said, look, don't blame me. See the video. I spoke to her, and she was doing it and even squeezing her hand. So how will I know that she's not even the one? In fact, up to now, there's still a lot of controversy. Was she really the person or the other, this thing? So these are some of the things that we also need to watch out. When we want to send our news. And we'll get to where there will be an opportunity, where we need to talk about events in our locality. For example, you want to talk about your place that does not have a functional primary health care center. You can do it from the comfort of your house. In the teaching we're going to do possibly tomorrow, we're going to tell you how pictures are very, very important. The Minister of Health was coming to somewhere in Lere to come and commission a hospital. Yeah, I think it was a hospital. For some of us, we went earlier. And then we're waiting for them to come in. And then someone told me that there's a report of someone, who is paralyzed. And then he told me the whole thing. And for every journalist, once you hear a good story, your ears start tingling. If you're a good journalist, you have this nose for a good story. You hear something, I just know that this is it. So when I heard about the whole thing, I quickly left where I was and I drove. And the story is this. The man was in his farm. He was harvesting. His wife was at home, pregnant. And then suddenly the pregnancy, labor started. It started, and then they put her on a bike. They were taking her to the next big village, so that she can give birth. Along the way, they had an accident and she died with the pregnancy. The man was in his farm. And someone came and told me, said, this is what happened. Some of us are good at giving bad stories. Today, they'll just hit the man, boom. Your wife, pregnancy started. She was going to hospital. She died, had an accident, boom. And the man became confused. In that state, he now stopped the harvesting, climbed, on top of his motorcycle. And in the state he was in, he was driving and he had an accident too. He became paralyzed. So I was there waiting for the Minister of Health to come, and then we had the whole thing. So I went, saw the reporter, and I saw him and everything. He was paralyzed. And then I did a report on it. And that report led to where the primary health care center in that place was upgraded. Because what they did was that they gave it 2 pages, spread the whole thing. And they said, this is our own part of advocacy. So in your own small locality, you can actually speak out using the social media. Are we together? You see injustice happening, you can speak out. You don't need expertise, you don't need anybody out there. You can just use your phone or whatever media platform that you are in, and you speak out on it. Okay? Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, Twitter, and all these things, they are there. And they have a lot of advantages. Of course, there are the disadvantages, but there are a lot of them out there. And then, do I still have time? Can I carry on? Okay. I hope it's interactive enough. All right. Okay, so one basic thing that we just want to teach you again is that, I'm sure some of you know it, is that you want to send a report to PSJ. Okay? You don't need to be an expert. You don't need to be a journalist. We have something that we call the 5 WH and 1 Yes. Oh, you know it. So let me just keep it. You know? So what we're saying is that if you want to write just one paragraph of report, you want to send to PhD, just one paragraph, you can include all the basic things. That when someone looked at that first or second paragraph, he's already satisfied that you've included everything in it. Okay? He gets satisfied that you've included everything in it. The first one is the who. Who. And then what? Let's go now. What again? Where? Okay. When? Some journalists are here. And then which one again? Why? Which one again? How? This is the one hit. 1, 2, 3, 4. What? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, which. No, which. So you see, when you want to write a report, and this is basic, once you include all these elements in even your first paragraph, you have a report that you can send. Oga Isha looked at it and he said, this includes everything that I want to know. You know, you sent to the head of the researchers and he looked at it and said, this includes everything that I want to know. Maybe the second, third paragraph are just embellishment and things that you just want to add. When we talked about who, we said who is involved in it. An accident, happened. Who is involved in it? When we say when, we say when. When did it happen? Okay? When did it happen? Where? When? Where? Why? Why? You see, we keep telling people, in this place, you need to be a bit more careful. In this place. Because sometimes your why could be your own opinion. Your why could be your own opinion. So try as much as possible to give whatever it is that you could see. Okay? Then here is what. What happened? We're sitting down in this room, having our seminar at so-so and so-so time, at so-so and so-so date. And then some people just entered and they selected some women. No, let's use the boys. They selected some boys and they took them out. And since then, we've not seen them. So, you see, if you looked at all these things, you realize that you've answered virtually everything here. So, in every report you want to write, try as much as possible to include this element. They are very, very difficult. In fact, if you do it consistently, it becomes part of you. It becomes part of you. You send a report and nobody needs to bother and say, this report that you sent, how come you didn't include the date? When did it happen? You didn't include it. Who were the people that were involved? What happened? Sometimes in this why, you can say, this was what I saw. This was what I saw. Okay? If you want, you can also add, although this is what I saw, but I also heard some people saying this was what actually happened. All together. So try and include all these things, and then you realize that your report. Is it okay, or should I take it again? Because I want us to get this in. Is that the root of whatever it is that we're going to be doing, sending report, and some of all these things. Who is involved? When did the event take place? Where did it take place? Why did it take place? What actually happened? And then how did it happen? And then I've also included an introduction of a news story, just one paragraph, including all these things. So when you read it, you find out that it's highlighted. And then let me go to the last thing. Now, and this is the last one. Kuka said that anytime he's giving a talk, and he said, in conclusion, even people who are sleeping will now wake up. I said, finally, he has come to the end. So, in conclusion, too, what we're doing is that you want to write a story, you want to write a report about an event or some other things. There are some things that we've written that you need to include in it. We call it like a checklist. Checklist when it comes to writing a story, especially you are writing a story that someone does not want that thing to get out. Are we together? You are trying to write a report that someone is trying to change or ensure that you do not write that report. So there are certain checklists that we've put together that when you are doing it, you try as much as possible to do what? To ensure that those things are included. The first one is factuality. This is very important. In journalism, we say, when in doubt, leave it out. When in doubt, leave it out. Because it's very difficult for a newspaper or a media house, TV or whatever it is, to start doing an apology the next day. What they do is that in this day, they surcharge you half a percent of your salary if you make them to do this thing. If it is something that's very serious, they take 100% of your salary. But when your report is factual, you find out that there's nothing they can do. And when you are writing, you see truth, accuracy, and objectivity. These are the cornerstones of a good report, especially in journalism. If they contain all these three things, then it means your report is factual. The second thing that you need to do when you are writing a report or some other things like that, whether sending a news, is that make it short. A lot of people don't have the luxury of a long read. If you send a 20-page report to Oga Ishaya, maybe it might take him a week to go through. And even post. Have you seen that post on social media? If it is long, people don't read it. Do one paragraph. Everybody read and comment. Like, comment, and do whatever. Do a long read. People will just flip through. So when you are writing, whether it's a report or you want to send a report to a media house on something that has happened, you want to send a report, as much as is possible, send a report that is short. Let me tell you, most news reports do not go beyond, and I'm talking from the newspaper, they don't go beyond 5, 6, 7 paragraphs. Because there are a lot of reports competing for one page. So if your report is long, they cut it off. Sometimes you are reading a report of an event, you find out that it ends so suddenly. The editor cut the whole thing off. So if you are desirous of making it short, you find out that from the beginning where you are writing your report, you include whatever it is that needs to be included in the first 2, 3 paragraphs. Unless it is a feature they are doing or some other things like that. The media, the print media is even the one that has so much luxury. In the broadcast media, pew, they are gone. They don't have all these long feature and some other thing. So try and make it short. Altogether, try and make it as short as possible. But in making it short, do not compromise on the fact that are there. And then the third thing is that concentrate on the human angle story that you want to send. It resonates with people. Okay? You see, anytime, have you ever seen a report where they say 5 people were killed, especially white men, they are fond of doing that, including women and children? We the men, are we not human beings? They lump us, boom. And then when it comes to women and children, you see, particularly women and children. If you look at the statistics that's coming out from the attacks in Gaza, they said about 13,000 people were killed. But you see a section where they said about 5,000 were children. So these are the human angle of the story that resonate with the people. Because if you take it from that angle, then you are able to catch the attention of people. Are we together? But when you start by saying, we are writing a report to the local government chairman, for example. Chairman, we are writing a report to complain that for 50 years, we've not had a report, a good road in our community. You've been doing other roads in some other communities. You've not done in our place. And, we're having problems and some other things like that. He looked at that report and possibly say, it's the same problem that everybody has. So. But when you start by saying, Honorable Chairman, in the last 5 years, we have lost 6 pregnant women because of plying the road to go to the primary healthcare center in the next community. Some of them had the pregnancy on the road. Some of them died. You see where he started. But the subject of the whole thing is the road. But he didn't start by telling that I don't have a road. He started by telling about the consequences of the whole thing. And when he sees that pregnant women had an accident and they died, unless he's not a human being, he will be moved.
So, in most of this report that you are going to do, and this is part of the framing, and is allowed, because you are trying to achieve something, and then you are picking an angle that you know will resonate with people. You are picking an angle that you know will catch the attention of people to make them to do whatever it is that you want to do. You know, one of the reasons why the Chibok story went far was because they were women and children. Isn't it? In fact, we dedicated half a page every day in leadership on the story from what they were doing at the Unity Fountain Park, Bring Back Our Girls. We had a reporter on station there because these are women. Altogether, these are women, these are little girls. So take your story from the human angle because it allows people to feel the essence of the story without being there. If I tell you a story of a little girl who was killed, the first thing that comes to your mind is that, I have a little girl too. How will I feel? Isn't it? How will I feel? And then you connect already with the story. Connect already with the story without even being there. And then you find out that whoever is giving that story has achieved an aim because he has connected with you. He has your interest. But when you start by saying a road is bad or some other things like that, let me tell you, a lot of people will not take that thing serious. The next thing is that avoid using derogatory words. When the people you are appealing to bear semblance to those words, armed headsmen, Fulani gunmen, or some other things. There are some people, an attack, for example, takes place in your community, and you are writing to the DPO. DPO, an attack in Nama Garimo. And he said, the DPO, Fulani people have been coming to attack us every day. And the DPO is a Fulani man. There's going to be a clash in that place. He's not a killer, but ethnically, he's a Fulani man. And in writing, you are generalizing. Fulani or some other things like that. And that's why, for some people, they've not adopted a word. They will say armed headsmen, gunmen, some other things. In NTA, you can never use Fulani gunmen. And some of this, they can never use it. It's not allowed. Okay? So if you are writing to some of these things, you need to be wise and understand that, okay, it's armed headsmen. When we say armed headsmen, other tribes, other tribes do it too. So do not use derogatory words when you are trying to appeal to some of these people. And then framing. Framing is the way, like I said, information is presented. It refers to when aspect of a particular issue is selected and made visible. And then other things are downplayed. When you do that, you are framing, and it's allowed because you are trying to achieve the best result, trying to get the best result that you want to. So framing is an aspect that you need to bring into it. Okay? It is the way stories are constructed to evoke a particular interpretation and reaction from the audience. Then context. In writing, you also need to be mindful of context, is the sixth one. And when we say context, we're talking about you not just only giving the report, but going behind to give stories behind it. For example, we're sitting in this hall. Someone walks in and kidnapped someone. And you are writing a report to PSJ. We're having this meeting and someone came in and kidnapped the whole thing. Now you can go ahead to say, this is the third time that this thing is happening. You see, you are now giving a context to the whole thing. This is the third time that this thing is happening. It means that this is not the first time. Okay? So you are going behind. So whoever is reading it will begin to have an idea. He said, oh, answer by man, attack didn't answer by. Actually, this is not the first time. Okay? So it's a set of facts that are behind that you also bring in to do what? To beef up those particular things that you've put at the end. Go behind. Sometimes you can even say that we had a burial. There was a burial and so things were done. No, let's say we had a burial and then in the burial, they insisted that a little girl must also be buried with the chief of the town. And then you send a report and someone will say, these are barbaric people. These are cannibals. These are people who are not civilized. But you can also go ahead to say, this is a practice
that is being done in this chiefdom for over years. Anytime a chief died, this is the practice. And the parents say, oh, I now understand it's a cultural thing. So this is what we're seeing by context. Am I too fast? Okay, and context is very important. And then the second thing again is that speak out as a group. It's very important. You write a report or some other things like that. If it is possible, let people of the group or let the whole community sign. Have you ever seen a document where you see like 20 people, everybody sign? It carries more weight than just one person. Your community has a problem. You want to write to the governor or some other things like that, So just write and say to all the elders in the town, everybody come and sign. So when the person takes the document and looks at it and sees that everybody has also signed, he said, these people are not playing at all. So it helps to carry weight. And then be very clear in what you are asking or highlighting. Asking for development is not a request. But what exactly is it that you are asking? Maybe to the local government chairman. Hey, local government chairman, we don't have development in our town. We don't have development. That is not a request. Local government chairman, we don't have a primary healthcare center. Our road is bad. All this kind of thing. So be specific in what it is that you want to achieve. Be specific. Okay? And then the next one is that use more pictures. It speaks better and it describes better than words. Use more pictures in any report. In fact, there are reports where instead of sending 10 pages of report, just a picture will sort everything. Just a picture. Okay? Just a picture will solve everything. But again, one thing that you need to be very, very particular about is that before you use a picture of anybody, get the permission. Get the permission of the person. Okay? Get the permission of the person. When the attack, the Bethel school attack, kidnapping took place and wanted to use the picture, it was even the picture of all the shoes that the children left when they were escaping, they left behind. I don't know whether I saw the picture. It was a heap of the picture of shoes. We sent it and they said, no, get the permission of whoever who took the picture. I said, it's just shoes left behind. They said, get the permission. So we had to start looking for the person who took the first picture before we got it. And when he realized that, they wanted to get permission. So he said, they need to pay some money on it. And they had to give him $50 for him to give the permission. And the permission is just a small text. Okay, I so and so give my permission that my picture can be used. That's all. So get permission on it. And then another thing again is that you need to protect minors' identity by blurring their face. If you have a minor who is in it, you need to blur the minor's face, okay? So that we don't do what is known as development pornography or poverty pornography, where the vulnerability of poor people is taken and is used to make money or some other things like that altogether. So it's very, very important. And like I said, using a picture is very important. Who remember the picture of the DSS and the prison officials scuffling over Emefiele? You remember? It was a powerful picture. You don't even need anybody to tell you anything about it. You see the DSS man, they were holding in and tearing the prison official, and the DSS people were holding their guns like that. You see, what made that thing so striking was that these are two sister agencies scuffling. The second thing is that gun was involved. And then the third most important thing is that this is a former central bank governor. Guy, whose signature appears on your money? If you check now, you see his signature. This is the person that we're pulling like this. So just that picture alone itself is powerful. So when you are writing some report or some other things like that, ensure that you put as much picture as possible. Anytime I talked about these things, I remember the picture of Kevin Carter. You remember his picture, 1993 in Sudan. The picture of the little girl and the vulture behind. It's a very powerful picture. I mean, it's among one of the 100 pictures of the Times magazine. They said he was just going out to get some fresh air, and then he saw this little boy, or is it a girl? She was crawling to a foot, spot like that. And then a vulture was behind. So he just stopped there and took the picture, and he went back. And it helped to create awareness about the famine then in Sudan. You know, he won the Pulitzer Prize on it and some other things like that. But again, it also led to his death. Because it made him so much famous because of that picture. To the extent that depression now set in. And he was doing a radio program. And one woman called and he said, I'm looking at the picture you took. You know, even though there's one vulture in that picture, but I can see two vultures and you are the second vulture. Yeah, that he wanted so much to get a perfect picture that he allowed the vulture to come in and, you know, and then endanger the little girl. And whereas what he did was after the picture, he drove the vulture, you know. So it became terrible for him and he committed suicide. So pictures are powerful. There's a picture I saw, you know, during the September 11, 2001 attack, you know. It was a picture of a woman falling from the 110th floor of the North Tower. Why the picture was so significant is that she was wearing skirt and a suit. She was, you know, when the whole thing caught fire and it was burning, a lot of people were jumping in because you couldn't go down, so people from there. So she now jumped from the 110th floor. But while she was falling, she was trying to, breeze was blowing her skirt up, and she was trying to cover, and she was falling down. Unconsciously, she was trying to cover her skirt. You know, so the person who took the picture, you could see her hand doing like this, and it's such a powerful picture. It's such a powerful picture. And if you put it, you know, you situate it with the carnage that she just jumped out of it, and the innocence that she project, you know, the vulnerability of a woman plunging to her death, whereas back there is fire and destruction and everything. You know, you situate the two and you see it's such a big contrast. You see such a big contrast. So it became a very, very emotional picture in it. So try as much as possible to put in a lot of picture. And then the 10th thing is that be careful with dates and numbers. Be careful with dates and numbers. Have the correct date, correct number of victims, incident, and everything. Because for someone who is trying to get at you, he watches and he waits for his time. When they told a lady that her name is there, it was not as if she has done anything bad. No, but someone is praying. Ya Allah, let her fall into my trap. One mistake they were waiting for. Even though they didn't get it. So for someone who is trying to get you, doesn't want that thing to get out, you need to be very, very careful to walk within. And one day I kick away, Kokabuga Ruan is it Kura or something. It's an answer I can't put it. Nyazuma maka Rua Zakachansa Kura or some other things like that. So basically what I'm saying is that be very careful with dates and number. Have the correct date, correct number of victims, and some other things like that. And then the number 11, be very specific on whom you are appealing to. Who is the man, who is the woman responsible for that issue that you are trying to appeal to? Write it out there, you know. Number 12 is that know that whatever you're trying to highlight is the same thing someone is trying to conceal. Be very strategic, including not giving up. Because for all these things that you are doing, someone is trying to ensure that it doesn't get out. That's why sometimes you hear report of newspaper houses, they will go and close the whole thing. You know, arrest journalists and some other things. We had an incident where we finished production around 1. Yeah, around 1. And then they rolled the paper by 3. They were done with rolling the paper. And, you know, the cast, you know, we start taking them to supply them to states. And then we realized that suddenly the cast were still outside. You know, some of these cars, they load newspapers to state. They were still outside. And we're saying what was happening. One governor got to know what was happening. And he sent and he bought the whole copies for that day. Nothing roll out. The whole copies he just bought. I don't know. So when we realized what was happening, they said someone has bought the whole thing. We said, we cannot go that day without sending a newspaper. So we had to quickly start looking for a small report. I think we were able to roll out around 5 or something like that, second edition. Sometimes they have first and second edition. So these are the extent that some people can go to ensure that your report doesn't get out. The issue does not get out. The incident does not get out. The plight that you are trying to highlight does not get out. So it is left for you to employ wisdom, strategy, tenacity, and everything so that you're able to speak out. We're all privileged people here. For some of us, the responsibility of speaking out for some of those our people in the rural area lies with us. We are the voice of the voiceless. And if we don't do our job well, we'll be letting some old people, some vulnerable people out there down. So it's left for us to do what we're expected to do within the time we're expected to do. Thank you. Tomorrow we're going to take documentation. It's just one, and it's purely documentation, how you can document an issue so that it meets international standard. Thank you.
Please, another round of applause for Mr. Ruben Buhari. I don't know if we have any questions for him. We'll just take 2 questions, please, quickly. Please, straight to the point. Please, straight to the point.
Hazard or risks that is associated with the media when it comes to your work. I now know that the media is very powerful. When you look at the Rwanda story, it was as a result of the media influence. And a guy posted something about the former first lady in Jigawa State. He was picked from there to Abuja. That is about Aisha Buhari. So my question is, at what point do you draw the line? Because I just woke up one day in my community. The executive director did mention my community, Genta. Besides, I reside there. As I was going towards the junction, I got to the junction and I realized I saw a signpost that says 3.0 kilometer had been constructed for Genta. And to God who made me, there was nothing as such. You understand? So someone was telling me, can you just say something? I said no. So I called the radio station, JFM also, and I was trying to tell them, if you think I'm lying, come and see for yourself. Constructed by just not local government council. And there was nothing as such. And like our sister from Kaduna DC, she's been to the SOL, U2, and the executive director. So at what point do you send a story and know or get convinced that this won't get you into trouble or something? Thank you.
Okay. Briefly, you see, you can't be 100% sure that in what you are doing, nothing will happen to you. You can't be 100% sure. Life itself is a risk. Life itself is a risk. You see, but what we tell people is that try as much as possible to be factual. Once your report is factual, they will carry you and turn you around and bring you back. I was invited to the DSS office in Abuja. I was in Jos here. Coincidentally, I was in Jos here. I was doing something, and then I got an invitation. The DSS in Kaduna called me and said I'm needed in Abuja, and I said for what? They said, they just got a signal. So I went to Kaduna University and then went to Abuja. I got a lawyer, one Mark Jacob, if you know him. So Mark Jacob said, okay, what we're going to do is that wear suit. He wore suit too. Sit down at the back seat of his car, Jeep. So I sat down at the back seat and we went there. So when they saw me with a lawyer, they started saying, no, we just call you for a chat. DSS call you for a chat to come and take tea or what. So what, at the end of the day, they were asking me some questions that up to now, I don't even know what is it they were asking, But at the end of the day, there was nothing. So what I'm saying is that risks are involved in it. Risks are involved in it. All you need to do is to be very, very careful. And then the Constitution is there to actually help you. When I was during the Bondong issue, they took me to Abuja, we were telling them, tell me where my freedom of expression stops and the allegation of incitement starts. Tell me. So risks are involved. All you need to do is to be a bit careful. Anytime you want to go to a community and a lady who said, I'm reckless, no, me, I'll go, this kind of thing, it's a lie. You see, let me tell you. It's because I'm working with a woman. So I'll tell her, I say, let's go to this community. Knowing full well she'll say no. And she'll say, no, the place is not safe. Deep down in my heart, I was saying, God, let her say no. Let her go say no. So when she say no, I say, oh, I want us to go to this place. And you say, no, it's okay. Let's just stay back. So what we're saying is that risks are involved, but you need to be very careful. And don't put yourself in journalism. We say, do not become the statistic. Do not become the news. In the process of getting the news, do not end up becoming the news. Be very careful.
Thank you very much. One last question, please. One last question. Okay.
Okay, good evening all. Thank you so much for your share of knowledge. My question is, as a layman or unprofessional person, because I understand that media personnel understand what is fake and what is real when it comes to news. And social media these days has misled a lot of people to the extent that 2 days ago, one woman made an issue that I have to correct her because she instilled fear on people, which I had to go to the net, confirm the news, and then make the necessary clarification. How can a common man identify between real news and fake news on social media? Thank you.
Answer to that question. One thing that I would say that will help is that there are fact-checking apps. There are fact-checking apps out there. I'll include it in what I will give to PSJ to share to you. Sometimes you put some of this in and it tells you if this news is fake, even pictures, you put it there and it tells you this picture is fake and some other things like that. What we keep telling people is that do not believe everything you see in the social media. Do not believe everything you see in the social media out there because there's interest. Interest is playing out. People will send out whatever it is they want to send because they have certain interest on it. And you, if you become so gullible enough to swallow everything, you find out that you keep swallowing everything that is thrown at you without discernment, without trying to see, is this true, is this not true, and some other things like that. All you need to do is to be extremely careful in it.
All right, thank you so much. Please, a round of applause for Mr. Reuben Buhari. We have drank from his wealth of knowledge on the use of media for advocacy. We're almost like 75 or 80% done with our activities for today. Shortly, we'll just take a recess before we'll have a dinner. Quickly, just to add to what Mr. Reuben has said. He said the media has a bearing on our daily lives. Indeed it does, because whether we like it or not, we all partly are media practitioners, especially if you have a smartphone and then you have a social media handle. There are certain things that happen in your area that you are usually the first person to post about it. Or maybe you hear it from a neighbor and you quickly share it, and then you expect reactions from your friends or your followers on social media. This is something we want to encourage, especially in PSJ, where you get reports, factual reports, and then you send in these reports. I'm sure by tomorrow, Mr. Ringpom will do the fiscal exercise where you use your Kobo toolbox in sending in reports. Once again, thank you very much, sir, for your wealth of knowledge. I want to also believe we enjoyed our session with Bishop Benjamin Kwashi this morning. It was a wonderful, fun session. He's indeed a crowd carrier. Okay, thank you. I want to also appreciate every one of you for being here and also for standing by, especially, okay, let me leave that. I wanted to make an announcement. We thank God that somebody's wallet that went missing was also found. Yes. Okay, so please, before we leave the hall, whatever plastic you have around you, kindly pick it up and drop it in the waste bin. So we're not seated in a littered environment. Please, whatever plastic you have used, or even if you didn't drop it there, kindly pick it up. There's a waste bin as you're stepping out. Please, let's help the cleaners and make their work easy. Right? I'll now invite Mr. Samode to come and give the announcement so we know our activities for the rest of the evening. Thank you.
Good evening, all. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the patience. Yesterday, most of you came, those from southern Nigeria, those from the far north. The journey is hectic. You have seen the Nigerian roads. There is a need for us to advocate for infrastructures and other things. I believe with the sections we have had, a lot will come out of this summit this year. So please, those in Jos, the session for today